Hey everyone, Mythicodium here, and I want to continue our chat about the Starfinder playtest. Now, Paizo launched this back in the beginning of August, and is the second edition of their very, very successful science fiction / high fantasy RPG. So today I want to talk about my personal favorite class, the Operative. Now, this is kind of the gun fu class, the master of range combat, the sniper in the shadows. The Operative, gets the job done, and no mark is ever safe from their weapons. Again, if you have not watched my previous video that goes into the background of Starfinder and everything else, and my videos on the Envoy and the Mystic, go ahead and watch those if you wish, and then come on back, because I do talk about the Ancestries. I think would be probably the best for this class at the end of the video. You can find the playtest packet on the Starfinder playtest page, and I'll leave links to that in the description, as well as links to the Archives of Nethys if you need any of the Pathfinder core rules. And I'll also leave a link to the Demiplane Nexus Starfinder character builder. While you're in the description checking on those links, maybe hit that like and maybe even subscribe and hit the bell for notifications on new videos. I will be doing much more Starfinder content as well as other things as we go. So let's get into it, shall we? The Operative basically is your rogue style character, your professional who thrives in high stake combat. They have the key attribute of dexterity. So they are all about the guns. They're all about the ranged combat, with a few options to be also close quarters, mind you. But yes, so that is what you're going to be looking at for the Operative. So hit points 8 plus con modifier. We see that it has the full 20th level advancement. Every level's got something interesting in it. The additional proficiencies: expert in perception. You are trained in fortitude, but expert in reflex and trained in will. Now your skills are determined by your specialization. We'll get into that in a minute. And then you get 3 plus your intelligence modifier, additionally trained. So same as the Mystic, not as good as the Envoy. Now, one of the big things to point out is that you are experts in simple guns and an expert in martial guns. So you are right off the bat have an extra +2 to hit over top of every other class in the game when it comes to guns. You're trained in advanced guns. You are trained in every other type of weapon. So you are, the walking arsenal. You are trained only in light and unarmored defense. So you're not meant to be in medium or heavy armor. And of course, you're trained in your class DC. So one of the big things to point out is the aim action. So one of your main things is being a sharpshooter. The aim is a single action, and you're wielding a ranged weapon that doesn't have an area trait. So you can't be using the big plasma cannons and stuff like that. It's meant to be you're shooting at one single target or multiple single targets, but not in areas. So no cones, nothing like that. So you take careful aim at a single creature that you're aware of, designating them as your mark. That's kind of an important word. Until the end of your turn, your range strikes against your mark using the required ranged weapon. So again, can't have the area trait. Deal an additional D4 precision damage and reduce the circumstance bonus to the AC your mark gets from cover by 1. Now, these benefits only apply if your mark is within your weapon's first range increment. It can only have one mark at a time. As your Operative level increases, so does your ability to aim. Increase the number of dice for the precision damage by 1 at 5th, then 11th and 17th level. At 11th level, you reduce the circumstance bonus to your AC or mark gains for cover by 2 rather than 1. At 17th level, you reduce the circumstance your AC your mark gets from cover by 4 rather than 2. So it will affect light cover and greater cover at that point as well. Now, just like the Mystic and the Envoy, you have specializations. So when you pick your specialization, it again is like your subclass in Dungeons and Dragons. At 9th level, you gain an enhanced exploit granted by your specialization, and you pick one of these. So the ones you can pick from are the first one's called the Ghost, which basically is you are adept at striking your foes by surprise. You can aim at targets that are unaware of you as a free action. So stealth, hiding, that sort of thing is extremely important. If you successfully strike a target who is unaware of you or has an attitude of friendly towards you, they become slowed for 1 round. On a critical success, they are stunned for 1 round. Your enhanced exploit, again, 9th level, you avoid detection. Oops. So at 9th level, your enhanced exploit is you avoid detection even after making contact with the enemy. You gain the Ghost Tap action. The Ghost Tap requires 2 of your 3 actions per round. You take a stealthy shot, then disappear into the background, make a ranged strike against a creature, then attempt a stealth check to hide. In an urban setting with multiple creatures, you can instead choose to make a deception to hide. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to this check if the creature was unaware of you or has an attitude of friendly towards you. If your friends are not expecting you to shoot them in the face. Does a success. If the creature could see you, you are now hidden instead of observed. If you're hidden from the creature or undetected, you retain that condition. So that's very important. Failure, you become observed. All right, next up is the infiltrator. You specialize in bypassing security systems, hazards, and traps. Basically, your cat burglar or rogue. Your exploit is you cause technological items and creatures to experience glitches and malfunctions with minimal effort. You gain the sabotage action. So glitch is an actual condition in Starfinder. Sabotage, single action. You disrupt enemy tech to cover your tracks or gain a tactical advantage. Select a single tech creature or tech item within 15 feet that you can see. If your target is a tech creature, attempt a computer's or crafting check against the creature's fortitude save. If your target is an item, attempt a thievery check against the item's DC or reflex save, or the creature possessing the item if the item is being carried, held, worn, etc. So on a success, the creature becomes glitching for 2 rounds. Again, glitching is an effect. At a critical success, the creature becomes glitching 1 for 1 minute. That is a pretty powerful debuff. A failure, your attempt fails and requires more persistent analysis. The target is immune to sabotage until the end of your next turn, so you can't try it again. Critical failure, your attempt backfires. The target is immune for 10 minutes. Again, the enhanced exploit, which is 9th level, you can use sabotage as a free action whenever you critically hit a tech creature with a melee attack or ranged attack in your first range increment, targeting the triggering creature. You can use sabotage as a reaction whenever a creature wielding a tech weapon or a tech creature critically fails a melee attack roll against you, targeting the triggering weapon or creature. All right, the next operative specialization is the skirmisher. Close quarter fighting. Basically, you are the bodyguard, the assassin type idea. As the exploit, you're adept at utilizing pistols in close combat and can employ them in the fight just as well as some might use a sword. Your ranged strikes with one-handed ranged weapons don't trigger reactions that are triggered by a ranged attack. So that's a very important thing to note is if you're firing a weapon and you're within melee, you can basically trigger reactive strikes or other reactions. You also gain the hair trigger as a bonus feat. Your enhanced exploit at 9th level, your point blank shots are particularly deadly when you make a successful strike. So the enhanced exploit is for 9th level, your point blank shots are particularly deadly when you make a successful strike against an adjacent enemy with a one-handed ranged weapon. You calculate the damage as if the lowest rolled weapon damage die for the attack had the maximum result instead. At 17th level, the 2 lowest dice damage rolls are increased to the maximum result, which is pretty damn impressive. All right, next up is one of my favorites, the sniper. You specialize in targeting foes far away and attacking unseen. So your exploit, you're trained in stealth and you gain a skill feat for stealth, which is really cool. Your exploit is you ignore the volley trait of guns you wield. Volley means if they're within a certain range increment, usually your first range increment, you're at a penalty to hit, you ignore that. You gain one of the following operative feats as a bonus feat. Either keep them in your sights or scope sight. Both are pretty good, and we'll get onto feats a little later. Your enhanced exploit is if you fail your first range strike against your mark using a sniper rifle, that strike doesn't count towards your multiple attack penalty, and you ignore your sniper rifle's unwieldy trait until the end of your turn. So that's huge. So if you miss on that first shot, your multiple attack penalty does not decrease, and you can take that second shot, which is really important. A striker, you specialize in hand-to-hand combat. You know, when you're trained in athletics, you gain a skill feat for athletics, and you can choose strength as your key attribute instead of dex. So that's a huge thing to know, which will change a few of the ancestry suggestions that I would have at the end of this. So your exploit, you have expert proficiency in unarmed and one-hand melee weapons with the agile trait instead of with martial guns, so you swap those around. Whenever you increase your proficiency with martial guns, you instead increase proficiency with your one-handed agile melee weapons and simple guns. So I love that. I love that flavor. So you can get in there and actually be like a 2-weapon fighter, or you can be a brawler, etc., etc. In addition, when you aim, you can aim with and apply the benefits of a one-hand melee with the agile trait rather than your ranged weapon. So basically allows you to use all your abilities just with the agile weapons. Reactive step. Like, the trigger is a creature within your reach leaves a square during a move action it's using. So again, move actions can be step, they can be stride, they can be a tumble through. There's a whole bunch of different move actions that are available to actually use when moving. They just wanted to categorize it under the whole move action. Basically, you're able to definitely move around your foes, getting out of tricky situations or managing to put yourself into a place where you hold advantage. You step twice, ending as close as possible to the triggering creature. So the way the rules work in the game is a step is a 1 square, a 5-foot move that does not trigger strikes or other reactions. So you could step twice. You could basically move up to 10 feet towards the person. Your enhanced exploit is to find yourself able to overwhelm foes that you study. You gain the overwhelming strike free action. So the overwhelming strike trigger, your strike hits a creature you've designated as your marker and deals damage. You apply one of the following overwhelms, which lasts until the end of your next turn. So you can make them off guard. You can make them suppressed, which is again another specific terminology for Starfinder. The target can't take cover or benefit from cover. So that's important. And then we have stuff like mobile reload. We have operative feats and skill feats, etc. You have 3rd level on your move. You dodge roll and weave out of danger, leaving no openings as you move across the battlefield. Stride up to half your speed. This movement doesn't trigger reactions. So it's all about being very mobile on the battlefield, being able to get yourself out of situations, being able to maneuver yourself around with your friends. The biggest thing to note on these guys is you become a master gunner at 5th level. So you get a mastery. You go from expert to master at 5th level, which is really, really big. You become legendary at 13th level, which is really, really low. Basically, it follows the same like a fighter in Pathfinder for getting that sort of specialization. So you are the gun expert when it comes to this sort of stuff. All right, let's go over some of the feats that I thought were pretty impressive. All right, the first one I thought right off the hop was creative cover. You have to be trained in crafting or thievery. And basically your useful knowledge of engineering alongside your surroundings to create flimsy obstacles or barriers on the fly. So you can interact to create a simple barrier from surrounding material, then take cover behind this barrier to gain lesser cover, which gives you a bonus to armor class and to reflex saving throws, which is really nice and really quick. The barrier does not otherwise grant lesser cover to anyone other than you, so that's important. At the end of your turn, the simple barrier breaks down, becoming ineffective. Barrier has AC 10 and immediately destroyed when dealt any damage. So it's literally meant to be just a really fast cover for you. At 1st level, I also liked instinctive aim. It is a single action. You draw your gun and take careful aim with the same motion. So you interact to draw a gun and then aim with that gun. So if you're in a setting like Absalom Station or somewhere else where you shouldn't have you're walking around carrying your weapons, this allows you to pull and aim with the same action. I think that's extremely good for first level. Mobile aim is also a very strong 1st level feat. You rarely still, and you've learned to reliably hit your targets even while moving. You stride, then aim with a gun you're wielding. So again, single action that combines movement with aiming. So a lot of stuff that combines with aim is, to me, a very, very solid feat. At 2nd level, defensive gunner, you've learned to safely defend yourself with your guns, shielding your body and deflecting blows with stocks and barrels. So guns you wield gain the parry trait. If an appropriate weapon already has a parry trait, increase the circumstance bonus to AC to granted from the use of parry from +1 to +2. So it's kind of parrying is basically akin to raising a shield. You add to your armor class, and if the weapon you're already using already has an AC grant already has the parry ability, it doubles the ability or doubles the modifier to 2 instead of 1, which I think is really good. I do like double tap, even though it does cost you 2 actions. Requirements: you're wielding a gun. You fire 2 shots at the same target in quick succession. You aim and then make 2 strikes against your mark. Apply the multiple attack penalty normally. If both attacks hit, combine their damage. You add the precision damage only once to the attack of your choice. Apply the target's resistances and weaknesses only once. So it's a combined strike. We've had this in Pathfinder for a while as well. Double slice, I believe, is the exact one in Pathfinder. This does the same thing. You shoot twice, add all your damage up, and then the resistance only gets applied once. And same with the weakness though, but usually you'll do this if you know something has a resistance to your weapon to bypass that quickly. I think at 2nd level, Kill Steal is a really fun reaction. Trigger an ally ends their turn. Requirements: you're wielding a gun and an enemy was hit 2 or more times by the same ally this turn. You fire a quick shot at the creature your ally is focusing their attacks on. You aim at a creature that meets the requirements, then make a strike against the creature. So really fun little attack, really fun little thing. At 4th level, I liked Always Ready. It's a free action. I'm a big fan of free actions. You're about to roll initiative. You're ready for anything, even an ambush. You interact to draw a weapon. At the beginning of your first turn, aim and target as a free action. So that's great. So basically, You get to pull your gun and aim on your first turn, and off you go. Skipping down to 6th level, I like to kick it in overdrive. Again, a free action. You can only do it once per hour, but your turn begins as your trigger. With a steadying breath and a moment of intense focus, you push yourself beyond your limits, gaining incredible speed for a short period of time. You become quickened until the end of your turn, and you can use the extra action only to stride. When you use this ability, you can instead choose to become quickened until the end of your next turn, but at the end of the duration, you become fatigued for 2 rounds as your body recovers. You can still only use this extra action from quickened to stride with this effect. So moving on to 8th level, opening volley is single action. Requirements, you're wielding a gun and a melee weapon or combination weapon. You shoot the target to follow up with a melee attack to keep pressure on your foe. You make a ranged strike. So you make a ranged strike with the required weapon. If the strike is successful, your next melee attack this round against the same target gains a +2 circumstance bonus to the attack roll. So basically that means the +2 will help remove the -5 or -4 if it's an agile weapon to the second attack. So it gives you a little bit better chance to hit on that second attack. I thought at 10th level, sprint was a really good action. You can do it as either 2 or 3 actions. You sprint at top speed, whether to chase down a foe or flee a dangerous situation. Stride up to 4 times. You can increase this number of actions this activity takes to 3 and stride up to 6 times. So your stride is your full movement. Most people it's 25. So that means you'd be able to move 100 feet in 6 seconds, or you could do 150 feet. Now remember, things that add to your speed will increase that movement as well. Tailwind, any other type of ability that allows you to move that adds to your base movement will add to that as well. So you could be hauling ass very far across the field. At 12th level, I really like dual aim. Your sharpshooter skills improve. You can have 2 marks at a time instead of 1. When you aim, you can select 2 marks rather than 1. So again, just giving you way more options on the battlefield. That's why I really, really like that one. As well, I light them up as a 2-action skill. Requirements, you're wielding a gun. You fire a single bullet that flies through multiple foes. Make a ranged strike with your gun and target. So you make a ranged strike at a target within your first range increment. Apply this attack against all creatures in a straight line between you and your target. This attack ignores any lesser cover the targets would provide one another, because in Starfinder and Pathfinder, it does. If you're behind people, they actually give you a light cover. Roll damage only once and apply it to each creature you hit. Line them up counts as 2 attacks for your multiple attack penalty. At 14th level, I really liked Bullet Fever. It's a reaction. The trigger is you take damage that would reduce you to 0 hit points. It's once per hour. You fly into a frenzy with your last ounce of strength. Instead of being knocked out, you're reduced to 1 hit point. You gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your level, so it'd be 14 at minimum, plus your key attribute modifier for 1 minute. So again, this is either Dex or Strength, depending on what kind of person you're taking. It's either Strength or Dex, depending on which operative you're taking. Okay. So you fly into a frenzy with the last ounce of strength. Instead of being knocked out, you're reduced to 1 hit point, gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your level, which is going to be 14, plus your key modifier for 1 minute. Key modifier is going to be either Dex or Strength. Increase your wounded value by 1 and enter a frenzy. So again, remember, wounded 1 will stack with any other dying conditions, and wounded 1 will stack with any other wounded. So if you're already wounded 1, you're now wounded 2, etc. So while you're in a frenzy caused by Bullet Fever, you automatically apply precision damage to all targets as though you're aiming. Take a -2 circumstance penalty to AC. Take a -2 circumstance penalty to all will saves. You can't take actions that don't have the attack or move traits except to reload your weapons. When Bullet Fever ends, you lose any remaining temporary hit points from Bullet Fever. So hopefully you got someone who is putting a little bit of healing on you before that happens. At 16th level, I really liked Cloaking Field. It's a once per hour again, so it is not something you'll be doing all the time in combat. It is 2 actions. You bend light and background vibration around yourself, either through expertise or a bit of technological ingenuity, allowing you to avoid detection. You become invisible for 10 minutes. This makes you undetected to all creatures, though creatures can attempt to find you, making you hidden instead. If you use a hostile action, the effect ends after that hostile action is completed. While your cloaking field is active, security camera, sentries, and other surveillance do not detect you unless they see through normal invisibility. So again, very powerful ability. You know, you could shoot and then go invisible. You can use your cloaking field after that. Just can't take any hostile actions, or you do lose it. At 18th level, I liked Kill Shot. I thought that was a really fun one. Again, it's either 2 or 3 actions. You're wielding a gun. You take careful aim at your mark and shoot to kill. You aim, then make a ranged strike against your mark. If this attack is a success, but not a crit, you deal maximum damage. Calculate this damage as if every die you would roll had a maximum result. On a critical success, roll the result as normal, but if the double damage would be less than the result of the maximum damage on a normal success, use a normal success instead, which is very, very nice. If you spent 3 actions and your attack was a critical success, you deal maximum damage and double the damage as a normal result. That is absolutely disgusting amount of damage that could possibly be there, but it takes all 3 actions and you have to crit. So good luck on your dice rolls. The 20th level feat that I really liked was combat reflexes. Your extensive training has transformed you into a living weapon. At the start of each enemy's turn, you gain additional reaction, and you can only use that turn to use an operative action. Again, 20th level can be a little difficult to get off or get up to that, but I think it'll be good. Now, when it comes to some of the ancestries, I would probably suggest not the breath. The android is a solid choice due to the fact it has a dex or int boost. The Pathra has a dex and charisma boost. So again, really solid. The Skittermatter is a charisma and dex boost. And the Yosoki has a dex and int boost. So the int boost would be good to get extra skills and stuff. Of course, you want to make sure that you're pumping up your dex. It is your bread and butter for this. You'll want to make sure that you are pumping things into your stealth and other stuff if that's the kind of route you're going to go. If you're going to go with a strength-based character, then you could look at something like a Kasatha, which does a strength wisdom boost, or a Vesk, which does a strength con boost. One thing as we wrap up, I want you to be aware of, and I've said it before in my other videos, and again, I'm going to keep saying this, is there are no archetypes in the playtest. So archetypes are Pathfinder and Starfinder's way to multi-class. So there is no way to do that in this without your GM figuring something out for you. Again, I wouldn't do that just because you don't want to bring in something into the playtest that doesn't fit what they're trying to playtest. So I would just keep it very much the vanilla characters. You got lots of stuff, as you can well see, that you have to do from 1st to 20th level. So I don't think you need to worry too much about getting into the archetypes. Now, that is pretty much going to be the end of the operative. I'd love to know in the comments what you think of the class. Do you like it as much as I do? What do you think are some of the maybe its weaknesses? What do you think are some of its strengths? I really would like to hear some of the insights. All right, but that's it for me today. And come back on our next video where we're going to talk about the Solarian, which is basically the knight version, the big fighter, the big tank. And we'll go into the details of that, and we'll get into the nitty gritties and take a look at the feats. I want to thank everyone for their overwhelming support. And if you'd like to help the channel a little bit more, I do have a Patreon and also the YouTube membership, which do give exclusive perks in my Discord, as well as other fun things that I'm going to be adding to those that join. So that's it for me for today. But in the meantime, in between time, may all your games be full of myth, mirth, and magic.